Well, good morning there, scholars, and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at our happy little class throughout the week. If you go to Manage Back, you can look at your calendar and you'll see that there's 4 tasks for the week. One for the unit final, which we'll go over in a minute. Two, a lesson on civil rights, which will be a video that we go over for about 15 minutes. Wednesday will be your live class with me, and then Thursday, you have some work to turn in. Let's take a look at Monday's task, your final. As you can see, your final is due April 14th. We're giving you it to today. You now have up to 2 weeks to work on that. And again, it'll be due on the 14th, which there's a task set up for your turn in, so you can turn it in at your leisure. It's due by 2 o'clock that day. As you can see on the task, there are 3 documents on it. One is your unit final, one is the rubric, and one is your prompt sheet that must be turned in prior to us accepting your final. If you don't turn in the prompt sheet, then we will not grade your final. All right, let's take a look at the... All right, so what we have here is your final and the prompt document. Okay, both can be edited, and we'll work with both of them to start so we can see how we're supposed to work with this. Okay, if you can't edit the PDF, you can always turn these into Google Docs. So here's your final. So let's take a look through what your final says. All right. So first thing we're going to look at is the final itself. Directions. The following question is based on the accompanying documents 1 through 7. You are to answer all questions in the assessment. Some of these documents have been edited for the purpose of these exercises. This assessment is designed to test your ability to work with historical documents. As you analyze the documents, take into account both sources of the document and the author's point of view. Now, with that, some of the documents are incomplete. You are going to have to go and do some research to answer some of the questions inside the document. But what I want to prompt you for is that the answers in the document are only part of the final. So really, there's going to be 3 parts to the final, 2 parts in part 1. So prompt info. Based on the documents that you have studied and the text of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, which you'll have to go look at, to the Constitution, answer the following in essay form. Okay, so you're going to have to write an essay. The Civil War was an event that had a dramatic influence on our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Here's your prompt. So this is the essay prompt question. In what ways have our government and personal relationships been changed because of these amendments? The first thing, that's my prompt. I want to go to my prompt tool. And I'm going to put that into my prompt tool. Or if you need to turn this into a Google Doc, you're more than welcome to. Okay, so there's my prompt. So I know what I'm trying to answer. All right, in order to answer this question, you are to answer the 18 questions found in this document. Remember, in order to answer this question, you are to answer the 18 questions found in the document and incorporate the information from these into your essay on the given prompt. Both will be part of your final score, meaning that we will score you on this document and your essay. So you do have to do both. In answering this question, consider the role played by President Lincoln and how decisions by the U.S. Supreme Courts have further developed the ideas expressed in these amendments. Okay, so some things we want to look at before we start. Pull up the right document. Back to our prompt document. What are the base essential questions being asked? Okay, so we want to break down the prompt just like before. In what ways have our government and personal relationships been changed because of these amendments? Well, one thing we know that it's asking us to do is exactly what it just stated, right? Is to look at President Lincoln, because that was directly asked in a different part of the prompt. We can absolutely put that inside of that. Okay, now I know that I'm probably going to run out of room here, but okay, so there's one thing I'm going to look at. Okay, now we want to break down the rest of the prompt. So when we're looking at it, what ways have our government personal relationships been changed because of these amendments? So base essential questions we want to look at. What are the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments? Okay, it also asks about how the court cases, what court cases. Well, court cases have helped structured civil liberties and rights. Okay, so there are a couple of the base things that we could look at, and I'm sure there's more, so I can put that right there. Okay, there's definitely going to be more essential questions that go with this. Okay, how have the amendments changed? Okay, so that gets us a start. So now we can go and we can list the command terms. So what are the explicit and implicit command terms that are inside the prompt? In what ways have our government and personal relationships changed because of these amendments? So if there's nothing that is explicit is in the prompt, then what is the implicit command terms? And then our secondary questions. So after we answer these questions, we should have a group of secondary questions. Now, remember, you need to record all of your answers. And from there, after we go through and we answer this contributing factors, we should have a perspective, meaning how we feel about it, our view of it, and then you should be able to give us your working thesis. From here, you can start breaking down that essay. So the first thing is, by Friday, you should be able to go through this kind of information. Now, the other part of that is that you need to do the 18 questions on this document. So if you take a look at the document, it's going to give you different documents. The first one, the Emancipation Proclamation. You're going to read through and you're going to answer these 3 questions. Now, these are done in essay format. So we're looking for full paragraphs. So following what event did Lincoln make this proclamation? That's not going to be in the document, so you're going to have to look it up. Okay, were all the slaves freed by this proclamation? That's a pretty short answer, but it does have to be a complete sentence. Did this proclamation have the power of law? Okay, another thing, you should understand that through understanding the executive powers. Okay, and as you go through, each of these documents is going to have more questions. Okay, a lot of these questions will need you to have secondary sources, meaning you're going to have to go research it. Cite your secondary sources. Okay, as we move on, there's a part 2. Part 2 is to read Letters from Birmingham Jail by Dr. Martin Luther King, and then you're going to answer these 5 questions, again, in short essay format. that is the final. Again, you have till April 14th. We'll be going over different parts of this throughout the week up until the due date on the 14th. Remember, you have an essay, and then you have the 2 parts of this document that need to be filled out. And they do need to be complete in paragraph or full sentence forms. You do need to cite your information for outside research. Now, real quickly, what we want to look at is what else we have going on this week. So if we take a look, you will have tomorrow another lesson on civil rights that I will post. It'll be a video lesson, about 15 minutes long. You'll have your class with me on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, your vocabulary and court cases are due. So those documents look like this. They were given to you 2 weeks ago. So you have your court case document. It looks like this. This information should be complete, information about the court case. These all can be found inside chapter 5. So for instance, if I pull up chapter 5, and I go look at the court case documents, and let's say that the first court case is Gitlow versus New York, I should be able to go inside chapter 5. And I will be able to find information about Gitlow versus New York. Let me show you the quick way to do this. This is incorporation. So if we go down here, incorporation, landmark cases, Gitlow versus New York. We'll find Supreme Court says that the First Amendment applies to states. So Gitlow versus New York helped apply the First Amendment to states, and it had to do with incorporation. Now, there's probably more information inside the chapter that you wanted to go look up. That's up to you, because remember, you want to be able to use this as a reference doc for your essays. Okay, so you can find all of those court cases inside that or inside your worksheets. Okay, and then you had your vocabulary. Look like this, the Unit 5 vocabulary. And again, all those words can be found inside the chapter. Sorry. So if we go look, all of your vocab terms. So let's look for the first one, due process. I can go find due process. Keep scrolling. Here's where you're going to find they're always over here. So due process of law. Okay, due process of law denies the government. So if I was really savvy, I'd be able to highlight that. Okay, but I just want to take this. Denies the government the right without due process to deprive people of life, liberty, and property. I just go back to my document. And again, you might have to turn this into a Google Doc in order to accomplish it. So in this case, it's not going to let me edit this. Create a little text box. You just do it like that. Okay, so there's multiple ways to edit this, but if you can't, then it's quite all right just to go and do this in a Google Doc. But if I wanted to do it here, okay, so I can do that. All right, so then that's due on Friday at 2 o'clock, those 2 documents. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you on Wednesday. Make sure to check your other tasks in the video for tomorrow. It'll be a short lesson, 15 minutes, over civil rights, and it's important. You'll need that information for Wednesday in our class.